At S4X17, Matthew taught 15 high school students from Palm Beach County the basics of ICS security to great success and interest. The last 3 days, he's been teaching Palm Beach County teachers so they can add ICS training to their curriculum. Please welcome Matthew to the S4 main stage.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming here. And we've had a great opportunity again here at S418, just like we really had at S417, except it's the next stage up. So here with me here on stage, we have Tony Ashe. He is the IT curriculum lead at Palm Beach County School District. We have Mike Sims, who is network and system administrator for Palm Beach County, and Julius Guerra, who is a professional IT teacher. So maybe a few of you saw us up in the corner and up in the main educational area there in the third floor, as we've been over the past couple days having some curriculum we've been going through that several of you have already seen as you've been taking our professional course over the past several years. Been pretty awesome. I mean, what we're seeing here is a subset of the team that we had up there, and we're going through the training, and really excited about the future of where we're going to be able to take cybersecurity education, process control system education, all the way down into the high school level. So our goal here today is to really talk about that future vision, talk about what we're going to be able to do even starting in the fall of 2018. Yeah, can you believe that? If you happen to have anybody in Palm Beach County, if anybody is from Palm Beach County, maybe your student will be able to go and participate in that next generation. And of course, if you are an employer, next thing you know, you're going to have a stream of workforce participants available to you, even starting out at an earlier age, understanding cybersecurity, computer science, and process control systems. So with that, what I'd like to do is just go across, and if you'd like, just to give it a little bit different background, as well as just share some feelings around what you thought about the curriculum so far, and where you're seeing where we're going to be able to take the education moving forward.
All right, thanks. Appreciate being here today. Again, my name is Tony Ashe. I work for the School District of Palm Beach County. I was a teacher, classroom teacher for 20 years. Moved over into the capacity I work with now. I really want to say thank you for the invite here to this event this week. What we're trying to do is to close that gap between the educational field and the industry. Our main goal in my office, I work in career and tech ed, is to prepare our graduates for the job market, the workforce, your companies. It's always difficult for us with every year that goes by to make sure that our graduates are prepared to take on those roles, to be candidates for jobs in your companies. So the gap we're trying to bridge is to get you all involved to help us by identifying the needs and helping train our teachers to make sure that our graduates are prepared to apply and gain employment with your companies, because they have those base level skills that they need to work with you all right out of high school. Thanks.
Great.
Okay. I'm Michael Sims. I'm Network and Security Manager for Palm Beach County School District. And I was involved in the program here at Palm Beach County when we started, obviously, having some concerns when we were told that students were going to be learning cybersecurity in our network, and we did want to make sure, of course, that was contained. You know, I think we're in a educational field where we're different from businesses, where we have cybersecurity external, but we also have internal cybersecurity that we have to watch out from our own students who would love to do a DDoS and take down the school when the testing period's coming. So two sides to that, of course, and we were looking more, of course, for a curriculum that was definitely internal and local to the classrooms. They wouldn't necessarily have the need to look at the network for Palm Beach County School District and look into hacking into that network. So definitely the curriculum here that we're looking at was perfect for the Palm Beach County School District, and I think we're going to continue to grow and have that support from Palm Beach County School District and with network and support for sure for the future.
Thank you. Julius Guerra with South Tech Academy here in Palm Beach County. I have a couple of issues I'd just like to touch on. First is it's an honor to be here, and I had no idea the level that you guys are at, where we're going and moving forward, and I wish I was a part of it many years ago, but I plan on being a part of it every year hereafter, so thank you for the invite. But building a pipeline, we need to build a pipeline with your input. We need corporate input. We have to have that so we know what that end career path looks like, so we know how to train those students. So creating that pipeline is super important. Creating a curriculum. All right, we have to create that curriculum with students so they understand the dynamics, they understand the soft skills, the hard skills that are required by the industry out there. And the struggle that we have is what we were just talking about. First, we have to talk about the ethical portion. We're going to teach these students something that typically we wouldn't in the past, but now we need to teach them all these intricacies, all these details, and we have to make sure that they don't compromise our own systems. So in putting a robust system like Matt has with the Cybati network, it's actually engaging my students. I see this bringing the real world into the classroom. That's been one of the biggest struggles for me in the last 7 years I've been teaching. So being able to expose our students so they have the versatility and understanding of what is out there and how can they go after it. So exposure is one of the biggest things, and then bringing the real world into the classroom is what this pipeline and what hopefully our mutual goal here is. So I'm hoping that that's something that we can get more input, not just one company, but many companies to let us know where we need to be at different levels of the game. The career. That it doesn't end with the certification that I teach the student, and I've known that for many years. Once that student gets a certification, there has to be a career path to that. So that is what we're looking for you as employers to give us that input. So I'm hoping that we can do that through many different avenues. Again, creating online platforms that we can share, because we are looking to go back and write a curriculum that we can start to implement, this August. I teach many different things. Cybersecurity is one of them, but not in an industrial controlled environment. So I see this being an incredible potential to, again, expose students to the necessity that is happening to all of us, and through the IoT that we need to come together and hopefully be able to move forward in solving some of these major problems that we're having. And last, implementing this by August is going to be a daunting task, but we are committed to doing that. We have 8 teachers and administrators that are going to come together to help us do that. So anybody that is looking to help us with this input would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, no, great. Just to go and reflect upon what the goal was here as we were up and facilitating the education with the administration, with some of the teachers. The intent, basically, and I said this, I'm going to try to make you comfortably uncomfortable, all right? We're going to try to introduce these different topics, whether it's understanding functional logic, whether it's understanding the elements we have in a process control system, or whether it's understanding critical infrastructure and then cybersecurity that matches up into those elements. As was being brought up, the environment allows the students to go and have flexibility of testing different things, of being able to see different types of cyber attacks and defenses, all without having to touch any other parts of the infrastructure. And the intent, again, over these past few days has been to help establish the roadmap of how we're going to deploy in fall of 2018, to figure out exactly what kind of workshops or content is necessary for each one of the teachers, to figure out how it's going to be facilitated in the district itself from computing resources and technology. And then once we're able to set and establish that path forward for that first delivery, it will most likely, and as we were discussing, it'll be a continuous improvement process for a couple of years as we're able to figure out exactly how to structure that entire program. But that first beginning is going to be, we're going to have students that have traffic light infrastructure, different individual components they're able to assess, and being able to build and understand and have a direct connection and understanding of what's going on in industry right now, right away. So pretty great opportunity.
So I guess one of the things whenever we look at one of these programs, whether it's educational or even a business program, we like to think, what does success look like? What are we trying to get to, and then how would we know we've gotten there? So I guess maybe, Matt, I'm sure you have some thoughts on this, but for the people from the county, in your mind, in year one when you're doing this, what does success look like? What type of class is this? Is this a class that's taught for a week? Is this a workshop? How do you envision this? And then how would you know if it was successful? What would you be looking from the students?
I think the first thing that we would be remiss if we didn't mention was that each of our teachers that are going to be implementing it this year, and of course, looking further, maybe next year we have 20 teachers implementing this or something close to it, is each one of them brings a unique expertise to their classroom, to the teaching field. So each of them will find different ways and different places to implement this technology. But I think that success is really going to be measured on the gains that the students make over the course of the year. And then, even looking beyond that, looking back 2 and 3 years to see which students have stayed with the program and which students are progressing at a level that's sufficient to the teacher that he or she can look at that student and say, you know what, they're graduating in 5 months. They're ready for a job. They've already gone and done an internship. They've made networking connections with area businesses already just from being out there doing shadows and doing internships. So I think looking at a success rate just from a 1-year standpoint is, have they made learning gains? Are they invested in it educationally as something that they want to proceed with? And what's the assessment piece going to look like? Are they able to run simulations, run say a project on their own? Can they turn around and teach this to a younger student? So I think that's really where we're going to measure success. But I think where you all come in is if Julius has, say, a 9th grader in his classroom, and that student is a candidate to maybe go into the field, we need your help identifying what are the skills that student's going to need 4 years from now. Not what does he or she need right now, but if they're due to graduate in 4 years, help us be prospectors and figure out what skill set is this student going to need to have in 2023, 2020, depending on their graduation date, so that they can immediately go and work for you all. So that's where I think measuring that success is going to have to be an ongoing thing that the teachers are really going to have to keep their eye on.
And I can add a precursor to that. Success for me initially is going to be showing the students this program and having their heads come off the table. They're not resting anymore. They're awake. They're alert. They're engaged, and they want to learn this. And the questions start coming out. So I'm going to have a little more success probably to understand if they are going to, because the more I can engage the student, the more they're going to learn, the more they're going to want to learn on their own and pursue this career.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what was in my mind too, is even if they can just be made aware that such a career exists, and that computers move things around in this world, and it doesn't mean you're sitting in a data center or somewhere else. You're actually interacting with the physical world and possibly getting excited about that. I know we had 15 students up here last year, and they were all kind of blown away that this was possible and they could do it so quickly, and it made sense. So right. That's certainly a measure. Matt, do you have any thoughts as to what success looks like?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the pipeline that was being brought up before. It's how do we make certain that the individuals that go through this type of cybersecurity education then are able to be connected with really local businesses on a fast scale. As a way, is there something where we can have an internship after the junior year? I mean, knowing that with the future, I mean, it's already out there and being discussed, there may not even be some of these opportunities today that employ somebody at that high school level as an intern. such as working at McDonald's, for instance. I mean, those are going away. And so we're looking at, all right, well, what is going to be that next skilled job, the more intensive job, the more capable job, the one that really matches with reality to what we need as professionals. I mean, we have over 200,000 job openings right now in these areas, just in this country alone. So there's a great opportunity for workforce development. The other piece I see as success is just being aware of how we're able to move physical things with technology. I see a fantastic, you want an economic growth spurt, you take the abilities that we have and the industrial revolution that we've had for the past several decades. I also see an opportunity not only for defending what we have, but another success that I want to measure, I would like to go to the Patents and Trademarks Office and keep track of how many inventions we're going to have over the next 5 to 10 years, because I think it could be something pretty phenomenal.
Now, I know when we were putting this together, sometimes people say I'm over-optimistic how fast things can be done. And we started talking, and Matt, you have with your Cybati kit, you have something really good for teaching someone who is very self-starting, self-learning, that sort of thing. And then on the other hand, we have the goal of being able to roll this out so a teacher can go through a program and be prepared to teach it successfully to students. How are we going to, and certainly 3 days upstairs training, 10, 12 teachers is not going to close that gap. And it's a question for all of you, what is that gap right now, and what are some of the bigger challenges, and how do you see closing them if this fall semester is to happen? What do you have left to do?
Julius, you want to start? As just what you're going to need or see that you need as some beginnings, maybe giving some background on what you teach currently, and seeing how it then connects to the platform right now. I think that would be a good start.
Yeah.
Okay, with the cybersecurity, a lot of the things that we're teaching students are very esoteric, so being able to have the student look at a live model and go right into that router and configure that exact protocol and feel that they're actually working on something physical, and then actually taking that real logical world and plugging it into a physical switch that could actually control things, it's just going to blow their mind, I think, as far as starting on that.
So far, Julius, we were talking, he does a lot of network security elements, and one of the pieces that's already in the platform as we're trying to just model these environments is a software-defined networking tool, and we were just having a discussion of even how the platform expands into other areas that they already teach within the district, where students haven't been able to get their hands on network switches, on routers, on firewalls. They haven't had access to any of that in any type of good fashion. So that was really an unpredicted outcome of some of the events so far, as where the platform may be used in other educational scenarios besides just the control system aspect that's there. Then you bolt on top of that the ability to learn about process control and physical world and how we're able to associate. It should go through that path of blowing their minds and realizing, wow, this engages me now at so many different levels. And it basically three-dimensionalizes binary, literally, right? We're building, we're constructing, we have this three-dimensional environment that we're able to take and realize it's not just JavaScript, it's not just C++, it's not just HTML. There's a whole networking infrastructure that's here, there's a whole physical world that's automated with it, and it's able, the students are able to explore all those areas simultaneously within the platform.
But how much more like train the trainer, teach the teacher is going to be required? How much formalization of the curriculum and the supporting materials from, and feel free if you say we're done, we're ready to teach it tomorrow, that's fine, but I'm just trying to get an idea of how much work, because I think one of you said it's pretty ambitious to do it by August. What's left to be done, and who does that?
I'd say it is ambitious, and we are planning a series of workshops to manage it. There's going to be some time during the summer that we're going to have to be matching up to be able to cover the areas of knowledge gaps that we have. We were having a discussion that, it's teacher by teacher and also school by school. Some schools already have certain programs in place, such as their teaching networking or their teaching systems or their teaching Python. Other schools are not yet. So you have this whole variety of dynamics of what are the individual prerequisites to be able to cover some of these topics. So I think there it has to be still exploratory. We're going to be trying to figure out what's going to have to be subsidized with additional content things where you're able to bring in and facilitate either through some pre-recorded lectures for certain content. Also, how do you manage that and facilitate it even to the teacher, where they're able to go through and have the time to go and do this. So that's where some of the discussion has been around incrementally rolling out the program so that we're able to make certain that we maintain quality. Last thing that I want to have happen, last thing anybody wants to have happen, is for a false sense of security that we're actually achieving these objectives, but then we're not, and we're falling short, and we think that we have a trained individual that's been going down the right path, or a well-educated instructor, a teacher, and it's not there. So we're still trying to formulate exactly what those elements are, but this is a great start just today at this conference.
Yeah, and if I can interject, it's twofold. I think this week for all of our teachers but one, this is your first experience here, our first experience with the technology that we're going to try to implement. So there's that initial training piece to get all of our teachers up to a base level, but moving forward, I mean, inevitably there would have to be ongoing training. And if we pull back away from Cybati and this event and cybersecurity, we're talking about anyone who professes to teach IT and says that it's relevant. There always is going to have to be ongoing training, updating, upgrading, tweaking what it is that you're teaching, trying to keep up with the trends that you all are setting out in the field. We need to progressively teach our students and prepare them for the next year, for graduation, for college or the workforce. Well, we also need to take that same approach with our teachers. We've got to make sure that each year we're giving our teachers relevant curricula, the important resources and skills that they can impart onto their students. If you pull away from a teacher and let that teacher teach their subject for 10 years without giving them any training, sort of teaching it in a vacuum, well, they've been teaching the same thing then for 10 years. That might work in some subject areas. In this field, that's not going to cut it. So I think there's going to be a necessary ongoing training as we go forward, as well as it would be for anything. But that's where industry it plays a very important role to stay in touch with us and make sure that we're teaching our students the skills of today and then helping us predict what's coming in the future to get our students ready for that as well.
Well, and that's important, and I wanted to make sure I didn't left plenty of time for this question, because you've got an audience here of control system vendors, control system owner-operators in all different sectors, government agencies, control system organization or agencies out here, plus all the people that'll see this on the YouTube channel. What does a county school program, and even if you look, if you were to say we wanted to roll this out to 20 counties after you have a brilliant success in Palm Beach, what can they do to contribute in terms of money, equipment, teachers, whatever? What would be your ask of the people in an audience like this? Maybe first from a county perspective, and then Matt, you can talk about it from a platform perspective.
Yeah. All those things you mentioned, can we write those down? Obviously, the public school systems, especially in Florida, funding is always an issue. But that's really just scratching the surface. It's establishing good relationships with our local businesses, and then expanding out to set up those relationships with businesses that are stakeholders in what we're producing, i.e. graduates, to make sure that they're ready to move into roles to work for you all. And look, we know that there's a bevy of jobs that you all are going to post where you're going to want college-educated people to apply for that. Well, you can help us with that as well. Accompany us to meet with the colleges so that we can both approach them from our perspectives and say, this is what we're producing. Here's what they need. How can we all work together to have high school graduates that are ready to take on roles in the industry, but then also students that are ready to go into college IT programs that can easily matriculate through, graduate, and become prospective employees for you all as well. Very, very important there. curricular resources. Some of you have training resources. Quite a few of you probably train your own employees when you hire them. Wouldn't it be great if we did that for you? Provide us with training resources. You know, it's 2018. We do Skype and webinar, online live webinars with businesses all the time, where you can Skype in from wherever it is that you work and speak to Julius's students about real world things that'll get his students excited about the job market. And Dale mentioned it as well. Students that don't even know what it is that you all do specifically. You know, they hear net security or cybersecurity. To be able to talk about something focused and specific that you all do on a daily basis would be so valuable to his students. To be able to see the equation, that this is where I am now, but this is where I could be in a number of years. Hey, and if you're in the Palm Beach County area and you want to come and speak to any of our students, or if you have a business that's somewhere here in South Florida, to be able to take our students, a handful of them, to your company and see what you all do. I always say the minute you get the students out of the classroom, you've immediately got their attention. And look, we're looking to kind of put aside the passive model of teaching and learning where the kids sit and fight off the urge to fall asleep. We want interactive, engaging, relevant things for our students to do in a project-based learning environment where they're actually doing something, they're actually creating something. We believe that mode of learning is going to be much more beneficial to them and prepare them for you all much better than learning out of a textbook is. So there are a number of roles that you all can play, in this whole equation without being, based in Florida that would be so beneficial to us. Every little bit of input that you all have with us helps because of our mission and our goal to get our students ready to be applicants with companies like yours.
Well, and Matt, you have the advantage here, as I think especially a lot of the small vendors out there trying to grow their business. You have a pilot customer, a beta customer here that is highly interested in this, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
But then how do you take this? Let's say the beta is very successful, the pilot works. What does it take to roll that out where you can offer it to 20, 50, 100? Because I'm always looking how we can scale these sorts of things up.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, not everybody is in Palm Beach County, and everybody is coming from all across the nation or even the world. And the intent here is to grow a program and grow a whole set of great, productive workforce. So what can you do to help with that? It can be, how can you facilitate within your own local school district? I mean, all of this began. It was 2 years ago when I was on stage talking about what we were doing at a high school initially, and it was somebody that was in the audience that said, you know what, I have a child, they're in a school district, and I think this would be a good thing that we can go and bring there. Do you have the same situation? Is there something you can try to facilitate a connection? Then as we move forward, as we're understanding, now we have to figure out, that's just the first step. Now we have to figure out what kind of existing programs are already there. Palm Beach County has a very solid existing computer science program that's there. I mean, I worked with them to begin with and trying to connect the dots on what do you need as precursor education before you come into a control system cybersecurity course or just a cybersecurity course. How are you understanding logic? How are you understanding systems design? How are you understanding network design? And they had a lot of those essential elements already being offered within their program. So, do you have that or do you not have it? If you don't have it, can you go and establish a full pipeline and connection? The goal here is to connect existing resources together. Right, we already had, Cybati, we already had some professional education. How do we take it and adapt it to work originally at the university level, now at the high school level? You may already have a community college that has some things being offered. I mean, if I have some vision of where things are going, how do we connect the dots from high school, university, so academic to professional? How can we even, if I want to go vision, 2025, how do we say that coming out of a high school, you come out with a 2-year associate's degree in computer science at the same time? If I would even have, maybe this vision is even sooner, how all of a sudden do we transition where maybe even the Common Core includes computer science throughout the entire nation and we're able to establish that as part of a program? I mean, we've been saying that for quite a while. Hey, now we have, proof is in the pudding. Let's go and do it. So there's a lot of things there. So if you happen to have some abilities to provide some connections, we'll begin with that. And part of the intent of this entire program is also, for this pilot, is to try to have a case study out of it as well, to equip you with the tools of what we've been trying to figure out and understand here. Who should you bring in? How do you get people to get involved? How do you get the authority to make the decision to include this type of training? How do you establish an infrastructure to make certain that you're not creating your own demise within the school system of teaching people to start breaking some of your own systems? How do we make certain that we establish a pipeline with the local community and creating internship programs to go along with it, knowing that we have these amazing wealth of jobs out there that need to be filled, and a great opportunity, I think, to do it.
Well, that's great. So if you, I think you'll be around at the Craft Beer Bash, right?
Yeah.
You can hand match your card if you're interested in helping. We certainly think this is a worthy effort. And we really, Matt did most of the work here. We just said, hey, isn't this a good idea? And then he made it happen. So please let's give Matt and Palm Beach County Schools a round of applause.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dale.